Hello everybody, and welcome back to Mr. Anderson's Algebra 1 lessons. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the laws of exponents. These are everybody's favorite. And one thing about exponents that you guys should remember is that exponents really are what we use to represent repeated multiplication. And that's kind of a big concept because you have x times x times x times x times x, and instead of writing out x times itself 5 times, we could just say it's just x to the 5th power. So really, laws of exponents are dealing with repeated multiplication. But today's video is really going to focus on the laws of exponents here. So there's a few laws of exponents that really ring true that you use a lot, especially in Algebra 1 when you're talking about exponents. And one of these falls under the product rules, so to speak. And let's just get some space here. So the first kind of rule falls under one of these product rules, and it's if you have the same base, you have a base a raised to the m power times a to the n power. What happens is you keep your base, but you add your exponents here, okay? And that's more or less because when you have this repeated multiplication up here, let's say you have 1 all for your exponent, you all have the same base. Notice how the base stayed the same, but you're adding each of these little 1 exponents to equal up to 5. So that's where you get that exponent up there, okay? Next kind of rule that I'd like to talk to you about falls under what we call power rule. And so let's say we have some base a raised to the power of m inside parentheses raised to the power of n. And what's going to happen here is you're going to have your exponents multiply. So you'll get the same base a raised to the power of m times n. So the exponents here are actually going to multiply. And so that kind of an important rule to remember, because you see this a lot if you have parentheses and you have some big long crazy uber expression, and you need to distribute that exponent to each piece inside of that parentheses, and so it's just good to remember that the exponents will multiply in that case. Now, another rule that we use falls under the quotient rule. It's a quotient rule. So you have that same base a raised to the m power divided by a raised to the n power. Well, that gives you the same base a, but this time the exponents subtract each other. And that's really tricky if you get into like where m is a smaller number than n, and that turns into a negative exponent. That's another video actually we'll talk about. But another way to kind of represent this is, let's say we have, I'm just going to do a little example here. Let's say we have a to the 5th power divided by a to the 4th power. That a to the 5th power really represents 5 a's multiplied by each other divided by 4 a's multiplied to each other. Okay? Now there's a couple ways to look at this. You can notice that a divided by a is 1, and a divided by a is 1, and a divided by a is 1, and a divided by a is 1. So those kind of just cross each other out, like this so. There we go. And so what you're left with is actually 1 over 1 times that last a, so that equals a. So there's really just one a left. But if you looked at it like this, you would say a to the 5th minus 4 equals a to the 1st power, which is just a. So you see how those are the same. That's that quotient rule that we talk about a lot sometimes. That's kind of one that really a lot of students struggle with. This guy right here. Another one that we like to talk about is a to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. And I'm going to do a specific video talking about this one because there's a really cool proof that takes a little bit to talk about. But a to the 0 power is equal to 1. And just kind of remember that. It's kind of a neat trick when you have a really big long expression, but there's the final expression is raised to the 0 power. It just negates everything and equals to 1. It's pretty neat. There's two final rules, and these kind of deal with negative exponents, and I'm going to just touch a little bit based on that. Let's say we have an a raised to a negative m power. That equals 1 over a to the m. And now when you have a negative exponent talks about repeated multiplication of the reciprocal. What is that? Well, when you're talking about this negative m, it's really a negative exponent really represents division, and division really represents multiplication of the reciprocal. So if you have a negative exponent, that represents repeated multiplication of that reciprocal. Now, there's a really neat way to show that takes some time, which I'll talk about in another video, but for now, this is kind of like the shortcut way to get what you need to solve. Last but not least, let's say you have 1 over a base a to the negative m. Well, that's just going to equal a to the positive m. Okay? So these are kind of the 6 cheat sheet kind of rules that most Algebra 1 students need to know in order to kind of make it in their classes. So hope this video helped you out with a little bit of stuff. And again, this has been Mr. Anderson's Algebra 1 Lessons. I really would appreciate it if you like, comment, subscribe, and left a message and shared this video to all your other math peeps out there. And until next time, have a good day.